the rate you acquire money isn't the issue. But if you made the same mistake I made, and I speak on this from experience, the money was my validation of self-worth. My money was the reason for being important. I thought that the reason people around me liked me and valued me and wanted me is because I was able to make money. And so my accumulation of money was mostly so I felt worthy.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us again for part two with Tom Miller. And we're talking about financial scarcity and the relationship with mental health, how that's impacting the mind. And I know we kind of left you off with a cliffhanger for the first part, and we're going to pick up there. Tim is going to help us out. And, last time, Tom, you were talking about, just a few tips of advice you would give to the younger generation who is going through that financial scarcity right now, and you were talking about specifically make a decision, and we'd love to pick up there. Tim, if you want to fire away, we'd love to hear more from Tom.
Yeah, Tom. So last episode was amazing. Thank you so much. So I read recently that so many young people, the majority of millennials and Gen Z, feel financially inadequate. So how do you see financial scarcity affecting mental health for the next generations, and what advice do you have for them, like Gen Z?
That's a really good question. There's two ways to look at it. One's the day-to-day thinking and actions we're taking, and it can go two different directions. One is people realize that money is energy. Everything's an energy system. Our blood circulation, energy system. Flex on a muscle, energy system. The government, it's an energy system. The sun to the plants, the growth to photosynthesis, all energy systems. And there's so many energy systems. The light we don't see, I call it. It's the quantum light, the spiritual light, the metaphysical light. So energy is a similar system. We just have representative in paper. If Gen Z can tap in to the metaphysics of money and not just think about it as that guy that showed the bling on Instagram and the one that showed it on TikTok and how he made so much money on his school group or on his Facebook group or doing ecom, because for every three people that are bragging about their success, there's 95 people that didn't figure it out yet and they're trying to get there, copying that person. So I would say that if we go in the direction where there's no spiritual, energetic awareness, we're going to have a lot of discrepancy between the people who get the right formula right away and everyone who's jealous of them and tries to copy them and it doesn't work. But if Gen Z becomes very aware, and I think there's a elevating of just consciousness. I think it's happening. I think people are realizing before they're 50 years old that, ooh, there's more to me than my body and my brain. Okay. So I think knowing that energy is a spiritual energy, a metaphysical energy, plus it's the energy that fuels human interactions. And that if they tap into the fact that when they are thinking of money as a non-discriminatory energy that everyone has equal access to, but only if they tap into it as a belief and as part of their daily practice, and thinking thoughts such as, I love money and money loves me. There's no shame in money. Money's part of the deal, but money is not me. It's just something I use. Here's the kicker, to make my purpose come true. When we're using money for status, you can make a bunch, but eventually it's going to flop and disintegrate in the way you're making it. It's going to stop just because it's energetics. It's all about cause and effect, reciprocation. I'm not saying make a bunch of money and give it away. I'm saying make a bunch of money and keep making more because you're doing it because you want to do something great that impacts others in a positive way.
Mhm.
So when you think about like this idea of money as an energy system, this is a question for like everyone here. I'm thinking about just when you think about accumulating wealth and the speed at which you do so, how important and how much does that matter if money is this energy system? Like if you accumulate, you do have a great cause, right? You're accumulating wealth very quickly. What goes up, does it come down? Is it like when it comes to energy systems, how do you think about that when it comes to money. And I know all you guys have more working experience than I do and have accumulated much more wealth. So I'm just curious on your perspective on that and the rate of generating wealth.
First, I want to compliment you on your haircut since last we saw each other, Max. Looking sharp.
I
And
actually did
second,
not get a haircut, just took a shower.
yo, do a compliment you on the shower then.
For sure.
So the rate you acquire money isn't the issue. But if you made the same mistake I made, and I speak on this from experience, the money was my validation of self-worth. My money was the reason for being important. I thought that the reason people around me liked me and valued me and wanted me is because I was able to make money. And so my accumulation of money was mostly so I felt worthy. So I felt more valuable. The more money I made, the more valuable I was. So I would say if someone gets their self-worth from a source other than their job, the amount of money they're making, and the resources, they're going to have a much better time accumulating money quickly because it's just going to be another thing and it's going to be there to use when they need it, but it's not going to be the reason they feel good about themselves or the reason they don't. Your money, your bank account does not define you, and you are not your work. Those are two wise things that people said to me when I was in the midst of making money. You know what I thought to myself? Oh, that's because I'm making more money than you. But I didn't say that, but I thought it. I just played along like, oh, thanks. But it was completely true. We are not our work. We are an energetic source that can share light, love, creativity, and actually just share that light to bring joy to others and them share it to us. And if we know that worth is always inherently there, it's intrinsic, before we start making money, it doesn't matter how much we make, how fast we make it. It doesn't even matter if we lose it. Because when people understand that money is energy and it's circulating, even if they lose all the money, they have a relationship with money where they'll get it right back. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And Tom, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Curious, how when you're facing big financial decisions, maybe you're, growing a business and you have to make those decisions, or, you could be, taking out a loan for college or for a car. I mean, how do you go about facing those bigger financial decisions, whether that's investing, savings, like what's going through your head, and how do you execute rather than staying in sort of this paralysis analysis around those bigger decisions?
Choosing is the most important thing, but before you make the decision, and after you, let's go. When you make the decision, stick with it, write it out, and expect it to be great. Don't second guess it. Go with it. Unless you know it's wrong, then course correct. But before making the decision, number one, gathering of information, which is the easiest part. Talk to experts that have already done it. See proof of how it works. See how the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, based on people that have done it way more times than you. And there's a lot of information accessible. So that's one level of information, but there's levels to it. The next level is your intuitive knowing. Is this purely for financial gain? And if so, know that and be cool with it. Is this because you think it's going to lead you towards doing something you love that helps people? Awesome. Be cool with it. But accessing a higher level of information, which you can call the universal intelligence, which we can all tap into with setting down a thinking mind, using that information along with the information you collect from the experts, you will always make a good decision. And it may not seem good right away, but things that don't seem good right away, sometimes when we don't get what we think we want right away, turns out we're getting what we really want just a little bit later. And sometimes that's a dip in money first. So not all losses are going to be long-term losses, but if we just make financial decisions with our primal brain, with our fight or flight, knee-jerk impulsive reaction, it's going to be a crapshoot. Sometimes you'll win, sometimes it'll work out. but there won't be an alignment of that energy. The name of the game with money, love, everything is aligning our energy with the energy of the infinite. I call it your truth, our true selves, the true source. Call it God, call it the universe, call it's verbiage. What matters is there's an energy we can tap into, and when we align our thoughts, our thinking, and our decisions with that source energy, things tend to work out much better, and we tend to help a lot more people than hurt.
That's
Yeah.
that's great, Tom. So I'm hearing you that that money is energy, that we are not our net worth or our jobs. And so what would you say to someone that's stuck in a rut, that is just burnt out and overwhelmed, and like we talked about, maybe paralyzed with too much information, and they don't know what to do, how to get out of that state and tap into that abundance, like you said?
First thing I would say, because I want to make this super crystal clear, being poor sucks. It sucks. Yes, money's energy. Yes, there's an alignment part that goes into it. And yes, you can tap into a higher source of information making money. But becoming paralyzed, taking fear-based actions, or taking no action, or feeling like everything you're doing is not working sucks. Because that thought, that feeling, that level of energetics attracts more of it. And it's like the harder you try, the less good that happens. Then you just keep going and going and going. It's like nothing I'm doing is working. Trying so hard and thinking so hard and wanting so much is causing them to stay stuck. And then feeling that energy of scarcity, that energy of lack, they do not see the opportunities that are right in front of them. I would say find an easy success. Get a job that's going to pay you a check. See that check and be so appreciative of it. Love that check. Love that money. Don't complain about how the tax is taken out or how you're not making that much or it's not what you want. It's that feeling of having. This is very important. The energetics of having changes your whole vibration, your whole access to new opportunity information. It changes your ability to see and feel what's out there. But you have to feel appreciate. I mean, the whole gratitude thing gets a little played out. It's absolutely true, though. Appreciating the action you're taking, going to work, the hard part, the grind, and then realizing you're doing it because you have decided, you choose to be someone who has, someone who's receiving. You choose that identity. It's an identity shift from scarcity and lack to having an abundance. It's a whole identity shift. So you take every opportunity to be abundant. I would even also say this, Tim. Go out, breathe the oxygen. Awesome. It's full of everything our body needs. And we have an abundance of it. There's no shortage. Go get some water. Abundance. Go somewhere where there's flowers. Oh my God, they're just blooming, being beautiful for no other purpose than to show off some beauty. And we get to just check it out. There's so much abundance, but we don't think in terms of that. We just think in the terms of how much is in our bank account, how much we get on Stripe that day, how is this play working, this campaign working. But the abundance you can access that state of abundance with any resource available and start feeling and thinking that way. But when it comes to money, do something simple, humble yourself, get a paycheck, and feel so appreciative of that check. And do not complain about lack of money. Don't tell anybody your stories about lack of money. Don't lie and pretend it's not there. Don't avoid it, but just take the steps and try to get 1% richer every week and be so effing grateful for it. That feeling of appreciation is what builds more opportunity and aligns you with the energy of the rich. Rich people are rich because of the way they think, feel, and the state of energy they align with.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everything ties back to this idea of scarcity mindset, abundance, and alignment, regardless of like whatever it is from the way we talk. So I'm wondering, we're talking all about money here, but everything is interconnected in my opinion. And so you think about just like the link between just like physical health and financial health as well. How important is that link in regards to fostering this mindset of abundance, which will then allow you to generate wealth and become wealthier. Because you think about, I watch these podcasts and all the millionaires, all the really successful people seem to have some sort of like spiritual connection in a way, as we have been talking, to money, rather than your typical person who's just like, great, you want to earn the paycheck, you want to make the money, but it's deeper than that for those people. So when you think about physical and financial health, what are your thoughts there in regards to everything we've been talking about?
And you brought up a lot. So first thing, I fully agree with you. Everything's interconnected, and so does science. There's a great book called Intraconnection. I totally recommend it. I think it's by Joel Hingberg. I can give you the notes later, but Interconnection, amazing book. Interconnected. Talks about how everything's connected. I'm going to say two other words. Alex Hormozy. He is one of the most spiritually aligned people I know. And I saw him when he was just starting Gym Launch, and he was driving the Prius, he was pulling up, and he was just kind of, you could tell he was kind of amazed how many people were coming, how much money he was making. And he had a different state then. He was like, oh man, when's it going to stop? And he was just like, just proven. And then I've seen him talk about our beliefs. We question every belief except the ones we truly believe. He believes he will always make money. He will always make money. He believes that his physical fitness and money and his love relationship all play by the same energetic rules. He follows those rules on all of them. He thinks about it in that way. He takes the actions that align with those beliefs, and he continues to execute and go forward. That's why his trajectory is so straight line, because he's consistently taken the same traits, and he calls character traits skills. And he's built them and just made the same skills and traits stronger and stronger. It's not accidental. He came up with good ideas and he kept doing it, but it's his belief that he will have a lot of money, that he will always have the amount of money he needs, and he can always make more. He will always have yoked biceps and be in great shape and have a six pack, and he will have a great relationship with Layla. He believes that, and those beliefs shape our energy. They affect how we perceive everything. So when you believe what applies to your body also applies to your money, which are both energy systems, also applies to your relationship, and you follow the same rules across the board for those, you are going to be successful in all three. So my answer to you, Alex Hormozy, they are connected. Everything's connected. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah,
To
that's
different levels.
yeah, it's good to have examples of someone who's been through the ringer in their mindset. I mean, it's a huge portion of it. And when, let's say, folks are starting to experience that level of success at abundance, I mean, what are some challenges, anxieties that might come up when you're first experiencing that abundance, and things to watch out for?
And I can tell you on two different levels. I can tell you about the one that happened a while ago. I can tell you the one that's happening today, started today for me. I'm going to start with the most real time.
Sure.
So here I am 6 months ago. I'm not sure how I'm going to pay rent because I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads for my old business that flopped. Hundreds of thousands of dollars on a software business that flopped. And there's reasons it flopped. And well, there's one reason in common. And that reason's Tom Miller, me. Learning experiences, moving on for him. Over the last 6 months, I have built up pretty good, double-digit thousands in my account now. So I'm going to be ready to launch in a couple months. So I gave my 60-day notice. So I'm going to, add up another $10,000, $20,000. I'm thinking, oh no. I found out today that I'm like the low priority now on the sales schedule. So I'm going to get fewer calls because they hired a rock star that they want to get all the calls now. So now that changed everything in my mind. Like, oh no, now I'm going to be doing 1/3 of the amount of calls, which would equate to 1/3 of the amount of money. So I start getting scared. Okay, this is messing up my plan. I don't have a way to get revenue from my school group and my new business yet. I don't have a way to have money coming in next month if I don't get any paycheck from my sales job. So even though I gave her 60-day notice like we agreed, she's phasing me out much sooner, which is smart for her business end, but was unexpected on mine. I'm not positive how it's going to work out. I just know that right away, fear. right away I went into scarcity mode. Right away I went into like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay. And then I said, okay, and I literally have to stop thinking. My primal mind is activated and my nervous system is reacting. And you feel tight, you feel constricted. And I have a whole little ritual to it. In fact, I use my little flower lotus candle. I imagine the flame is the present moment. I use it all the time to stay back in the present. And I remember that everything's an energy system and that I have zero control how that's going to work out. And then I literally started working on my enrollment system for my school group. I have a client call, a sales call for my own business scheduled for tomorrow. And I also have a plan of attack for my sales job to follow up with all the people who didn't buy from me over the months and use those as my leads during this time. And I know I'm going to make the money. But that didn't come from my thinking mind when I was scared. That came when I calmed my thinking mind and tapped into a higher source of energy. It was there. So I'm going to do it. I don't have that fear anymore. Okay, let's go. That's it. But that's I'm a different person with a different set of knowledge now. Before though, when man, it'd be nice to make 50K a month. If we get to 50K a month in my gym, I would be able to save money and have this, that'd be great. And then when I looked and we were making 86,000 a month, and then we were making 100,000 a month, I felt like I could do anything. No one could tell me nothing. I thought I was gonna take over Alex Hormozi's job. I mean, it was nuts. The things my brain was believing, the beliefs I acquired. I went from inferior because I had less than everyone to feeling superior because I made so much so quickly doing an honest business that I started from scratch. And I was not tapping into higher energy levels. I was not running my decisions through any sort of filter of, is this aligning with my values and my purpose? Everything was, how can I maximize the profit? How can I make the most? How can I stand out and be even better? And it was like this whole loss of value. The values I had in place at that time, they were not helping me make decisions. And all my decisions were based on accumulating more money. I wasn't stealing or ripping people off, but I wasn't putting the person first either. I wasn't putting my team first. I wasn't putting the clients first. And when I first started Life Light Fitness, Life Light is that inner energy. Like I knew about it. I wanted people to tap into it. But yet when the money started stacking up, I forgot all about it.
Right.
That sucked on me, but it's something I've forgiven myself for. But now I can tell the truth about it. I forgot about the energy. I forgot that there's always energy flowing. And then when we make decisions without running them through a value system that aligns with who we are and the impact we want to make on the world and the impact we want to make on people, well, let me just tell you, the fall was way less fun than the rise. It was a really hard fall.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can definitely relate to when being in sales myself. If I'm having a bad month, that's like you said, you pause, kind of assess where you're at, ground yourself, mindful in the present, and then okay, what do I have? Like you said, you kind of basically took an assessment of all the things you could do, all the assets you had in place, and then put in the inputs, and it's going to happen. But yeah, like you said, the fall is always harder than the rise. But that's when we typically learn the most. Tim, I want to
Yeah. Yeah,
hear from
Tom.
you.
Yeah, I was curious, when you're moving from that learned helplessness or maybe that foreboding joy when things are going well, when you're tapping into that energy of abundance that you are a being of love and light, what happens scientifically or spiritually with that neuroplasticity, with that nervous system regulation? What's going on there that causes that shift for people?
The first thing you feel is your subconscious, which is the feelings, the emotions in your body. So you feel that feeling of excitement, of joy, of elation. And while you're feeling that feeling, if you think thoughts such as, I am doing good things and I am abundant, I appreciate this abundance, I'm going to keep doing good things. At that point, the neurons that fire together wire together. Where the attention goes, the neurons flow, and the neural connection grows. So you start hardwiring that into your neuroscience. So that eventually becomes your default network, because you always go to your default neural networks. And if your default neural networks are scarcity, they're pretty hardwired in your brain. But it's the emotion you feel, and then right away attaching a thought to it, a belief, because that your thoughts, your habitual thoughts become your beliefs. And here's a sales trick I do that works for your olfactory. Whenever I close a sale, whenever I do something great, I learned this from Jordan Belford, Way of the Wolf. I do one of the boom booms. I smell it. I remember the smell. I go, success, real loud and clap. And so I anchor that into my neural hardwiring. And so whenever I'm going to go into a sale again, I can recall that anchor, and it's a neural physiological response that helps me be in a more energetic state. So now my cells, every cell in my body, and the energy we don't see is vibrating at a higher frequency. So I'm able to tap into more levels of information. There's levels to everything. There's levels to love, there's levels to light, there's levels of finances. And the higher you level up in your vibration, the more you can access. That's a great
Nice.
question, and
Yeah.
thank you for asking it.
No, that's great, Tom. Thank you.
This all comes back. I still think about scarcity as well, or scarcity. And when you think about, for example, let's dive into like mental health in regards to this, right? So you think about trauma and someone who's dealt with traumatic experiences, force this scarcity mindset kind of in their as their default mode, right? Default network in their mind. How can you, it's obviously harder to change this network as you get older, right? You say early intervention is always really important. This relates to money as well. So how do people break free from this scarcity mindset? And also when you see people, for example, they'll generate a lot of wealth and they attack and but they're still unhappy. Why? Because maybe they have this identity that attached that like once they achieve this wealth, they'll have like this abundance, but they still have that scarcity mindset even with the wealth, right? So I know I'm going in a lot of different places, but I'm just curious from your perspective what you're thinking about breaking free from the scarcity mindset in regards to whatever your upbringing is or whatever you have so you can achieve abundance and actually be at peace with the abundance rather than have a lot of money or and not be content with it because you still have the scarcity mindset.
So there was two layers to that one. One is the mental health issues that go and coincide with coming from a poor background where your parents said things to you like, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford it, we don't have enough, what do you think, we're made out of money? Um, Things like that. And just you feel like money was scarce and money was hard. You have to work harder to earn your money, like things like that. We get that wired into our brain. So that's the first one I'll address. And sometimes you have traumatic experiences where money breaks up your parents, and you feel like if you get money, things are going to fall apart. I have a more controversial, I would say, approach to trauma. And I believe that the trauma beliefs are a choice. At any time, we can choose either an empowering, I call it the warrior state of mind and perspective, or we can have a disempowering, victim reactive state of mind. We can choose at any moment which one we're going to be in. So the same situation I can look at as the universe gave me this life situation so I could experience this scarcity in my family setting, and I could realize that that's not the truth. For a while, that was my personal truth because it's all I learned. But now that I'm exposed to it, I can choose my beliefs anytime. So trauma is not a scar you have to heal from. It's a decision you have to decide not, you decide not to allow it to dictate your state anymore. Choose a warrior state again and again. I call it your warrior moments. Oh, I mean, that moment I can choose fear and guilt and victim, or I can choose love, light, and truth. And the more times you choose it, your brain changes, your beliefs change, and becomes your default. And the other one about the abundance, man, is so many people, me included, feel like when we reach this financial level, when I'm a millionaire, I'll be happy. And what we're really saying is, when I'm a millionaire, I will not be rejected by my tribe, by my clan, by my friends, by my family. The worst human fear is to be rejected, to be unloved, to be not included. It's in our primal instincts, because when the primal ages, if we weren't part of the tribe, we would die. Now we feel like we're going to die if no one likes us. Now we feel like we're going to die if we're not included, if no one reaches out and loves on us. We are relational beings. So when we think that this amount of money is going to bring us this consistent level of happiness and joy and elation and acceptance, and it doesn't, that's a belief that we have to reprogram. And it's hard to reprogram it. We keep expecting it. But unless that person, oh, there's another false belief. Aha, I was wrong about that one. What's the truth here? And the truth is, and this goes back to mental health, the truth is learning that there's an intrinsic light, love, energy, life that's in every one of us that at equal amounts, that when we align and tap into that, the money will not be as big a factor of our self-worth. It's changing a belief.
I love
And I
that.
have two ways. If anyone has a negative belief, this is a trick you can, and that it works. It's a neuroscience system. So knowing you have a default belief that keeps popping up, maybe it's about money, maybe it's about girls, maybe it's about your whatever it's about. It's negative, it's false, it hurts. You can tell it's not true because you'll have an unpleasant feeling in your body. You may be familiar and maybe comfortable, stress, we're used to it, but it's not true because it's feeling unpleasant. So right away you get that feeling. You think the thought and you say one or two things. Either stop it, take a breath, breathe it out, and I call it recognize it, release it, reframe it. Right away, reframe. I'm good, growing better. Something simple your subconscious will believe. Or stop it, I see you, and vibrate. Vibrate at like a yang, which opens up your heart, but just vibrate. Make a vibrating sound. And you can down regulate that belief so it doesn't keep popping up. But it's literally what you have to do. Every time that belief triggers the emotion, either stop it or I see you, but acknowledge it, but don't tell the story about it. Don't argue with it. Don't make it stronger because you're just reinforcing the myelin and sheaths around the synapses and making the default network stronger. And you're also keeping your energy in a not very receptive state. That was a fun question answered. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Tom, we're coming to a close here, but thank you so much for returning for part 2. And
Aren't you going to ask me, is there a place that people can learn more about you? Find you in
Yes.
school or something?
absolutely, yeah, where can we, absolutely, and thank you for where can we
Yeah.
learn more about your work and what you're doing?
When I lost everything, I'm not putting any money into Facebook advertising, IG advertising, anything. I really feel like school is the best bang for the buck from someone like me who lost everything and starting from scratch. So I have a group called True Freedom, and it talks about all these things. It talks about finding your truth, the truth, relative to our personal truth. Those are all those beliefs holding us back. So it's called True Freedom, and it helps people. There's prosperity on purpose. There's a way to get your body healthy in there. There's the warrior mindset that I talk about, so you're in one state or the other. And I do a live call with everybody in the group once a week too. I love to have anyone who wants to realize their true purpose and have true freedom, which is health, love, financial abundance, and connection to cool dudes like you.
Awesome, Tom.
Thank you,
Thank you so much
Tom.
for sharing. Hey, if you're listening, please check out Tom's School Community. We would love to have you there and welcome you. And thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you for episode 4. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys.